Then you indicate a couple of sections that I like in my project charter, which is project assumptions and project constraints. So a project assumption is are facts that you are stating that are educated guesses. For example, an assumption would be that the Philippine peso to US dollar exchange will be $1 for every 48 pesos. That's an assumption, and it's a good assumption because maybe what you would have done is you would looked at the current foreign exchange rates at the time that you are scoping the project, and you've decided that so that's a good one. A bad assumption is that it will not rain during rainy season, right? So if you have a construction and the construction would require some digging, and so there will be some earthworks, and because you were going to do some digging, and you're doing it during the monsoon season when it's raining heavily every day, to make an assumption that it's not going to rain is a bad assumption, right? What I just described is less of an assumption and more of a constraint. Why? Because that's what a constraint is, and another section that I needed to use. Assumptions and constraints are ways for you to create frames and to frame the project plan, to frame the scope of the project, to frame and justify the timelines and the budgets that you are trying to develop. And therefore, in the development of project constraints, it's like a constraint could be work hours are only between 9 to 5. That's a constraint. That's not an assumption. It's a constraint because you've decided that you're not going to pay overtime. Or you can develop an assumption to complement such a constraint, where an assumption is we will approve weekend and 2 hours of overtime, at the discretion of the project manager to ensure that the timelines could be met. If you pay attention to what I just said, I first described the constraint, which is 9 to 5, and then I went and created an assumption. And all these are designed to frame the scope of the project. We're not planning. We are conceptualizing the project. We're organizing the project because this is our main objective at this phase. The conceptualization and the organization of the project as we go into the next phase, which is the planning phase. We're going to create a high-level budget overview. We're going to create a high-level schedule overview. And at this point, the schedule and the schedule and the budget and things like that, they're not going to be super heavy at this point, right? They will be at this point quite high level. It's quite understandable, So from that perspective, it's totally okay that it's high level targets at now, and through progressive elaboration, that is in steps of greater detail, we will then be able to baseline. Baselining, I'm getting ahead of myself, is putting a stake in the ground wherein, yes, this is the timeline, and you're right, my bosses, you are right that we can hit it accordingly. Yeah? Well, more on that as time goes on. Let's get into a project charter, right? There is an assessment work, and I need you guys to put together a sample project charter. We'll review it for you, and we'll hear you from there.